Welcome to another episode of Progress Always, where we're here to build the fittest leaders. And I've got with me today the founder of Vision Espresso, Niko Arapkiles. We met at a roundtable with Michael Hunter, and you presented this idea of the Vision Espresso. And first of all, super intriguing. And the concept was born of this beautiful story that you talk about, your discovery of what it is to manifest and to call something out of the ether. And this is me paraphrasing, this is not your language at all, but to call something out of the ether and then bring it to fruition in real life. And I think that's the perfect way to tee this up. And we have something really special for the audience. We're actually going to do my Vision Espresso. You're going to give me my Vision Espresso today, which I'm super pumped about because I've been leaning on my shot for the last couple of weeks. So to get the full punch, I'm all in, man. But let's go back to the beginning really quick and tell the listeners that story.
Cool. Yeah, dude. Well, first off, again, thank you so much for having me. I feel like we're brothers from another mother, and grateful to be here. So thanks for the stage and getting to share my story. And it's an honor to just have some time and space to connect as brothers.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, super excited as well. It's always really special to show someone their Vision Espresso for the first time, especially on a podcast. We've done it a good handful of times, so it's a fun experience. But to answer your question, or to continue on the story that you're alluding to, is my mom gave me a copy of The Secret. Like, people ask me, like, where did this come from? Like, why was this like more innate in you? I was fortunate enough to actually have a really challenging experience in baseball. It felt like the worst thing in the world at the time. And this was prior to the baseball story you're alluding to. But I actually kind of like developed this thing that they refer to as the yips. And it's like when you start having a mental block and you like simple little things you can't even perform, which was super embarrassing. And it was like I couldn't even throw very well. And so I realized at a young age in high school how powerful the mind was in not a great way.
Sure.
And so
baseball's funny that way because I feel like of all sports, it's the most superstitious. So even if you're not walking in the level of awareness that we're talking about, like if you get Charlie Brown's dark cloud over you, like it could be there for a while.
Oh, baseball was either like really amazing or it was like really challenging. There'd be days when I just felt like I was going to be the next big leaguer. And then there's next day and like, I don't even know I don't know anything about anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was interesting because like it wasn't the most ideal situation that brought me into this work, which is kind of interesting in itself, right? God certainly knows what he's doing.
Sure.
But then from that point, my mom gave me a copy of the book, The Secret. Actually, it was the movie. And so I watched it, and it was basically like she gave that to me because she thought like it could help me like really develop my mindset more. And so that didn't even really hit until a couple of years later when I was like, all right, it's time to like really go in on this stuff, because a couple of years prior, I actually started practicing some of the exercises in there. Was like visualize a dollar bill on the ground. And then it was interesting because I found like a $5 bill a couple of days later when I went to the mall with some friends. And so I was like, maybe that's coincidence, but I don't know. I visualized it and it happened. So I'm like, maybe this does work. And so there was a point in time when I was playing baseball in college, and then I really had to, play lights out this last year because I didn't have any scholarships opportunities after being at this junior college, which it's a 2-year college. And in order to continue playing, you have to transfer to another school. And I didn't really have any prospects. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go all in and just do my best physically, but also I'm going to do whatever I can to figure out how to like crack this mentally as well. And so I went back to the drawing board and I started visualizing every night before I went to bed. And I would just be, the ultimate all-star, just like home run after home run, diving catch, the crowd going wild. I hear the cameras snap in and all this stuff. And it was interesting how there was this repeating movie that played out, and it was hitting a home run off the scoreboard in the last inning as a walk-off, and running around the bases, everyone going wild, the cameras snapping and all that kind of stuff. And it was just interesting how like this one game, it just clicked in even more than it ever had, where I was like, something's happening here. And I don't even know if I could properly explain that. It was just like a knowing, and probably didn't even I didn't know what was going on, but it was like something deep within me like had to been going on. So yeah, the game unfolded exactly the way I saw it. I got up in the very last inning. I was the first person. My coach came up to me. I was always a pretty fast athlete. So he's like, get on first base. We'll steal you a second, bunch you over to third, and then get you in. And like, it was crazy. I didn't say it, but like I inherently knew. I was like, nah, we're good.
Won't need it.
We'll do without that. And it was crazy because I step up to the plate and the pitcher starts his windup, and like I still get chills to this day thinking about it because it just felt like in complete slow motion. Didn't feel like I was even really doing a thing, and it just like boom, it just felt like effortless. And then all of a sudden, I was like, "Is that really going to go off the scoreboard? Are you kidding me?" And then, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" And I was like, I thought I was hot shit running around the bases. And then the newspaper was there snapping photos and got me running around third base. So I have this little I'm running around third base smirking at my coach, and it was crazy. But I think like ever since that moment, whether I knew it or not, I've been on this path to figure out how do I elevate that experience? How do I create more consistency with that practice? Because I was good with baseball of like visualizing and doing that thing and feeling it. That's the biggest thing is feeling it. But I wouldn't be able to do that in other things. And I
Right.
wasn't as consistent with other things too. So I'm like, what can I create that creates more consistency and creates the feeling so that I can be more apt to actually creating this in other areas of my life and helping other people do the same thing.
hmm So where did your journey take you after that? Because now that is such a paradoxical place to be. This is this new word I learned, the liminal space. It's any period or distance that is transitional, right? And that can be a couple of feet, couple of seconds. It can be miles and years, in the context, in the grand scheme of life, right? And when you're consciously trying to bridge the gap between coincidence and consistency, and like knowing that's what you're trying to do, like, was that frustrating? Were there letdowns? Were there like moments, delusions of grandeur? Like, what was the journey like? How'd it go?
The journey was interesting from that point because it was not at all what I thought it would be. I mean, it's just, and that's kind of a theme that I've discovered through my life. Like, same gift, different wrapping is something I've heard before.
Mm,
And like, from that point, it was cool because like my goal and vision was always to play at a Division 1 level. And so that was the other thing is like, I really wanted to go D1. So that's why I had to play like really good. Come to find out, I actually did. Like I signed a Division 1 scholarship after that. That was like so random. Like coach just literally called me one day. It was like, "Hey, you want a scholarship?" I'm like, "What?"
yes, please.
So like that was crazy. And then baseball unfolded not exactly how I thought it would. I
Mhm.
always would have loved to go on and play at a much higher level in terms of the professional level, but that wasn't in the cards. And then from there, it was like I ended up living with my parents for quite some time, driving Uber, and yeah, I thought I would have like this massive business success right away. Like before my senior year of college, I started getting in the realm of like, what's it, heck, making money online. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I was like, hey, Google make money online, which is probably like the worst thing that you can type into the internet. Well, there's probably a few worse things now. But I just found like all these different things. I fell into like affiliate marketing, and I played in that realm for a little while. Then I started learning other marketing. I had an Instagram growth agency. I started some agencies, a lot of paid media. I got into that space. I work with some different agencies and work with some pretty notable brands. That was exciting. But I think deep down the whole time, I always knew that like marketing wasn't my thing. It's obviously a major asset to have and be able uh, to facilitate within your business, because like the best known is the best typically. And so it was good that I built that skill set, but I just knew that like something was deep down that I was meant to do something like on a personal development level as my career.
Yeah.
And so I practiced different things, and I'm always investing in myself. And I bought this course as well, and it taught you how to like basically build up this little vision packet in a sense. And then you would read that every day.
Yep.
And that had a strong impact on me. And then, just going through different things, learning more about like spirituality, meditation. Joe Dispenza had a large impact on me, and just learning how powerful our minds are, and to getting in that powerful state and feeling things and letting them come in. And then it was interesting because like I hit a pretty challenging stretch where it was like a combination of like health, relationships, addressing traumas, and career. Like it all just kind of piled up and stacked on at the same time. And then I went out to Utah by myself for a week just to collect myself. Nature has really just been so therapeutic for me, and solo travel, solo just adventure has been a very therapeutic methodology for me.
Yeah.
And so I was out there, and download came right in. I was on top of Zion's Mountain, Angels Landing, and I said, start a podcast and do it as an event. I'm like, okay, I've never done either of those. So, and he's like, all right, do it next week. I was like, all right. So we did it, and I called my buddy. It was never a concept that I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense, and this person's doing it, so let's model them. It was just like, yeah, this seems cool. Let's have a conversation in front of an audience. And I never really like tapped my audience or network before then, so like I feel like that was like a reason why it took off pretty quickly. But like the first event, we had like 60, 70 people in the room. It doubled like every single time. By the third event, we had like 200 plus people in the room just listening to me and someone else having a conversation. And
Wow.
it was cool. And it was like, gave me a really cool way to speak, which is what I've always wanted to do for some time. And then after that third event, it was very pivotal. Like people, like I had a line of people waiting to talk to me. I was like, I didn't even know half of these people. And, it was just crazy because I was like, the feedback that I got, people were saying it was just like so transformative. And I was like, all right, well, I think it's time for us to like elevate this, because we weren't even charging, we weren't even monetizing, we weren't doing anything. And so I was like, I think it's time to take this up to the next level. So I started asking myself, how do we do this? And what feels good and aligned, rather than just going to get a sponsor that doesn't feel amazing to me. And then it was shortly after that, I had the idea of like, well, what if you created, like basically turn your vision board into a movie that's emotionalized, that's captivating, that it's a message from your future self, gets you all amped up, gets you all excited, but then also like talks as if your vision has already been materialized. And then
Yeah.
what if you listen to that on a daily basis? And so then I created that for myself. And I was like, I think this is a cool idea. And like, I watched it, and I like immediately got chills, like just tearing up. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is crazy. And then shortly after that, like I was still working with this agency, and we had a big client that like tripled their ad spend, which just immediately tripled my income. So I was like, whoa, that's another crazy coincidence. But after seeing all these things, I'm like, well, that was clearly why it all happened. And
Yep.
then I was like, all right, well, maybe we should get this out to more people. And so then at our next event, we decided, all right, let's put this out. Let's put out an offer. That's always a scary
Yep.
experience, putting yourself out there like that. But we did it. It was a success. A bunch of people bought it. We sold out on the first event, got to work, started building these out. And that was like 3.5 years ago. And the big challenge within all of this since then, like it sounds really cool that we had a good success, but it was operationally complex because it's such a custom project.
Right.
And it also carries a lot of, there's a lot of vulnerability in this too. And people have resistance to that. And we've experienced that quite a bit. It's crazy. Like people will pay us a lot of money, and they'll just like ghost us because they don't want to address some of this. It's crazy some of the
Oh
time.
yeah, sure. Yep,
So
I
it was
can
like
see
this
that.
inherent, like, it was cool to like get that support and just keep the wheels turning. But it was
Mhm.
also like really frustrating because I just wanted to impact people. And I know like the people that go through the process, they get massive results. It's like almost creates magic in their life. But the people that don't obviously don't. And so it's just like, and it was like no one would ever tell me the truth either because they didn't like, they felt bad about it. They're shameful about
Yeah.
it or
Well,
whatever. They didn't,
there's a level of not only letting you down, but to have that conversation with you would also you'd be admitting that you let yourself down,
right.
which is that's not Nico stuff. That's my shit. You know what I mean? That's my unresolved stuff. And I'm here to tell you, man, like there's no greater gift to yourself than to address that stuff. One of the questions I have for you, not to detour, uh, but sometimes I feel like the word trauma is either overused or a catch-all for things. Uh and what I mean by that is there's just some stuff that you just need to take off your plate.
Mm,
Like not everything needs to be a cat 5 hurricane in your life story, you know,
mm,
but that requires a level of sitting still, which is a big part of our practice at next level is like, look, maybe doing more isn't the answer. Maybe actually doing less or having less would support you and move you further faster, right? And having gone through this process, it was one of dude, I cried 5 or 6 times, but like it would, and I can't even say they were happy tears. They were, as I've learned in the work I've done with somatic practitioners, that's just the body moving energy.
mhm,
That it's there is no positive or negative spectrum here. It's just the body's, I've got restless leg. I've learned that that's my body moving energy. I've learned that, the tears that showed up in this process is the manifestation of my body moving energy at this particular frequency. You know what I mean? And if you don't know that, when you start to bump up against it, you resist it as opposed to just allowing whatever shows up to move through you, right?
mm.
Has that been your experience as well?
That's such a great way to explain it. And it's like we're all energy, and like I've heard some really crazy stories. One of my previous coach told me this wild story about a friend that went to a Joe Dispenza event and
Mhm.
became a millionaire in less than 48 hours.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, great headline.
Yeah, just sitting on a pot of gold, like boom, there it is.
What was crazy, he didn't believe in the energy when he went. He was kind of coerced to go into one of his events, and then
Mm,
he started diving into the work. Eventually, he's like, "Damn, this is crazy." And then like he had a marketing agency, and a couple of his clients offloaded a bunch of money for tax reasons to the tune of over $1 million. And he's like, "Oh my gosh!" But he understood it so deeply that
mhm.
energy is always like energy wants to move. So he took like I think from what I recall, he told me he said he took about half of that money and just like donated it or gave it away because he
Wow.
understands the
Mhm.
power of keeping the energy moving. And they talk
Yeah.
about all the time is like success like speed, money like speed, but like money is just energy. So it's like
Mhm.
that's why when you keep that money flowing, it just continues to complete the cycle of giving and
Yeah.
receiving. So it's really interesting what you say about like your leg and then tears, like it's just energy moving.
Mhm. It's funny, friend of mine introduced this concept, getting into the etymology of language, right? And uh, money being currency. To your point,
Yeah.
it has to flow in order to grow, right? And that in the context of finance, that's exactly what you're talking about. But at the same time, in our networks, the way we leverage each other for growth and exposure and all these other things. Like it's the same principle at play. In order for us to find flow and growth, we must be in motion. We have to be moving towards or away from something. And that whole push pull of it all. But to hold on to it, to hoard it for ourselves, whatever the resource is, social capital, financial capital, whatever, trade secrets, whatnot. That I think that's I don't think that this is his conscious approach, but I think that's one of the big major points of leverage in what Elon has built, and just taking everything open source. He's like, fuck it, if you can build it better, go do it. We will all be better as a result. Right? Like, that is, like, from a business perspective, abundance thinking on a whole nother, the application of abundance on a whole nother level.
Well, that's being abundant.
Yeah.
It's not talking about it. And
Mhm.
the question I continue to ask myself is like, are we talking about it or are we being about it?
Mm.
And it's like, shout out Michael Hunter again for the amazing dinner that he put together. But, there was an opportunity for me to engage with him more at another event. And it was a really cool story. He even shared it at the dinner. And I remember hearing this a while back, is like, be the client you want to attract. And so
Mhm.
that really stuck with me. And so whenever people, it's not always, I mean, I've gone through phases where I'm like super broke and I couldn't,
Yeah.
but like, I always want to like give the energy that I want to receive.
Mhm.
And it's not even like, it's just the law of energetics,
Mhm.
right? And so when you put that type of energy out there, that's the type of energy comes back. And you're not just talking about it, because talk is not energy. Like,
Mhm.
being is energy. So how you
Yes.
operate, how you actually do it. And so like with what you're talking about with Elon, he's like, he's being abundant. He's not just saying, yeah, we should all be great, but then his actions are saying like, well, but I'm going to hold on to it, and he's going to constrict and contract. And because of that, he's not being energy. He's not
Mhm.
being abundant. And then therefore it's not going to complete that energetic cycle of giving and receiving, giving and receiving.
Yes.
Which, at his point, it's so damn true. It's like, the more that we can give out to the marketplace, we can all be giving, and then we can all be receiving more, and we can all be
Mhm.
giving more. Are you familiar with a guy? His name's David Meltzer.
I know I'm familiar with the name.
He's a really cool guy. I've gotten to go to some of his events and dinners and stuff like that. And he has this concept of, the more you give, the more you receive. So then the more you can give, and then the more you can receive,
Mhm.
over and over and over again. So that's why anytime we're at one of his dinners, he says, hey, we're giving to this charity. We would love 100% participation, even
Yeah.
if it's $1, even if it's just your time, whatever it is, be abundant. And I
Mhm.
got on a call with a guy today, and I thought it was really cool. He was helping me with some AI stuff. And he's like, I don't need any money. I'm starting this company, and I'm building things, and I know I'm building them right. And I'm just sharing them with you. And I was like, damn, that's abundance right there.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it could have been like about the money or whatever, but as he, like, even if I did pay him, if he wanted me to pay him, then that would have been a different conversation. But the fact that he was just open and saying, hey, here's what I'm doing, here's really valuable, here's, they take whatever you want from that, that's being abundant rather than just
Yep.
saying abundant,
Mhm.
which is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. Is Dave from Boston? He's got a New England accent.
Is he? I forget where he's from.
Gray hair, glasses.
No glasses.
Okay, different guy. Okay.
He's actually the guy that they made Jerry Maguire about. He was a
Oh, really?
yeah.
Okay. No, I'm totally off base here. Okay. Wow. I didn't know that Jerry Maguire was based on a real person.
That's what I heard, at least. I didn't back check it.
We'll fact check it later.
Yeah.
Dude, no, it's true, man. Uh, the law of energetics and completing that cycle. I love that. I love that perspective, man. But it's so true. Sitting at that table, sitting across from you, it's like, man, it when you walk into a room and everyone is vibing at a higher frequency. This is what I walked away from that experience with, because there was a handful of dudes that I knew for sure, Aaron, Matt, Mike, and a handful of folks like yourself who I was meeting for the first time at this dinner. But I sit down and I'm like, damn, dude, do I know you? Because we're vibrating at the same frequency. And there's a sense of familiarity energetically that creates that dynamic. And for literally days, man, because the action taken from that group of people never ceases to amaze me. So you get contact information and things are starting to happen. When are we doing a podcast? Are we going to do this Vision Espresso? What are we doing? And for the life of me, dude, for days, I was like, where do I know him from? And come to find out, I didn't. But that sense of familiarity came from the frequency of the room.
Yeah. That's interesting you say that, because I we talked about it that night. We're like, do we know each other? But it's like, yeah, we knew each other's energy. And who knows, like there might have been a time when we crossed paths before, but who knows? But I mean, we're all connected at the end of the day. But that's such a good point. It's like, it's a familiar feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dude, no time like the present, dog. I am like chomping at the bit.
Yeah, I think it's time
to see what we're talking about. So for everybody who doesn't know, the Vision Espresso process that Niko has put together, I moved through last week, and what we're going to listen to is the finished product. So I am going to be unapologetic in this experience. I receive it fully. I'm grateful for you, brother, for doing this, and I am honored to share it with our audience.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I'll give you a quick little tee up before we do start it. There will be an intention setting. So have you speak out what is your intention for the day. And then after that, it's asking you one thing that you're grateful for. And then it'll lead you into a few breaths, and then it'll fade right into your future self.
Beautiful.
Give you a nice little pep talk.
Cool.
All right, here we go.
Now, before I hand you off to your highest self, I have 3 things for you. 1, what is your intention for today? Say it out loud.
Be present with Niko on this podcast.
Good. Number 2, what is one thing you're grateful for right now? Say it out loud.
All the opportunity that lays before me.
Awesome. Now 3, I want you to take 10 highly connected, highly conscious breaths. Hey, Michael, it's me, it's you, the future you. I'm so excited for you to get here, to see who you've become and all you've created. Yeah, the vibrant, lean, powerful body that felt clean and alive every single day. The overflowing business where profits soared, debt cleared, and joy expanded month after month. The sacred family connection with Nicole glowing beside you and Daddy, days filled with laughter and presence. The invitations to speak and transform lives with your rare presence and powerful voice. The life of spaciousness where peace was your backdrop and joy your default. The home expanded not for flash, but to hold more moments that mattered, and all the lives you've had a massive impact on, especially your own. Michael, you're incredible. There's absolutely no one out there like you. And as you continue to listen to that Vision Espresso you made back in June, is when things really started to shift. Your journey was unfolding more beautifully than you could have ever imagined. It all started with how you chose yourself each morning. You woke up before the sun, before the world made a sound. You slipped into that sacred space, coffee with honey in hand, breathing in the calm air. Your energy felt clean. Your spirit felt ready, listening to your decrees, reflecting, expanding. You shaped the day before it began. That hour set the tone. When Tristan's feet padded around the corner, you greeted him with love that felt deep, steady, and certain. Your body changed in ways you once only imagined. You trained, fasted, focused, and became lean, healthy, vibrant. The stress that used to weigh down your tissues, gone. Every gym session reminded you of what strength really felt like. Your cardio, your weights, the sauna, each part left you feeling powerful, light, clean. The shower afterward wasn't just about getting ready for the day. It felt like stepping into alignment, like stepping into the man you always knew you were. Business grew because of who you became. Strategy sessions with Joanna stayed electric. You scaled next level with ease, with impact, with joy. Profit arrived early, debt cleared, bonuses came through. You upgraded your home, made space for adventure, and kept expanding. The alignment assessment system became a true game changer. The team served with heart and skill, and the community stayed alive, buzzing, growing. Every month, the numbers climbed, but so did the joy. Nicole glowed, grounded and present. She reminded you about the family trips that were on the horizon, smiled at you in the middle of busy days, and asked what you needed from her. The connection stayed strong. Date nights were sacred. Daddy days brought laughter, practice runs, and moments that reminded you what success really looked like. Being there, fully present, fully alive. You stopped chasing rooms. The invitations came. You were paid to speak to leaders, entrepreneurs, visionaries. Your voice carried presence, power, purpose. People felt it. The first retreat you ran, it was magic. A small group, one mission. Everything you touched expanded. Health, wealth, relationships, time. Life became spacious. The home you expanded wasn't for flash. It was to hold more moments. Peace became the backdrop. Joy became the default. Overflow felt normal. The finances became a source of joy, not stress. Success didn't complicate your life. It clarified it. You did what you wanted to do. No guilt, no forced moves, just rhythm, just resonance. You stayed in it long enough to walk through fear into courage, and you built a life where every breath felt anchored, every day felt divine. Michael, I love you. I love who you are. I love who you've always been, and I love who you're constantly becoming. Now get up and make it a great day. Something love in a big way, yeah. It's a good day. Good day. Okay, a little bit of Tina. And a piece of feet up. It's a good day. Good day.
Wow. I got goosebumps, man. Ooh. Oh my God. That was amazing. I have no words, man. Thank you. Thank you, brother. What a gift. I'm grateful, man. I really am. Mm, thank you. Thank you. Oh man, where do I want to go from here? Oh. For those of you who don't know, that's the first time I've heard that. Yeah,
Words are a little tough after these things. There's a typical response where I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
but it's again coming back to what we've been talking about. It's a feeling. Like words are limiting.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes. I'm not a tech guy. The AI integration, was that obvious to you in terms of a tool?
No, not really, to be honest. Like, and it was funny because so many people ask me, and we've started describing our company as an AI personal development company, and so inherently people are like, well, tell me more about it. Like, how long have you been in AI? Are you an engineer? Are you a developer? And I'm like, dude, I just started playing, like dabbling with AI like a year ago, maybe like a year and some months ago. And I had so much resistance to it because of the fact that I was like, this is a heart-led thing. Like, how is AI, a robot, ever going to replace that? I was like, there's no way they can even write it as good, let alone like produce it. And so ultimately, kind of what I was sharing with you before is like there was a lot of resistance with people because we used to have the client actually record the audio, the script, and be like, speak it out. And it was just, that became a bit of a bottleneck. And so like, let's just play with it, see if we can clone their voice and see if that's possible. And we just caught some energy there where people are like, oh, this is cool. I like this. This is awesome. I'm like, okay. I'm always very observant of where like people get excited and there's a lot of energy around. There's a lot of traction. So I just like keep pulling on those threads. And the more people were saying they liked it, or like, all right, maybe this is the move. It's obviously like the move's a bottleneck for us. So this gives us the capability to scale a lot more. And it was interesting where this actually probably came from was where we started surprising people. So like I have a buddy that's really good at connecting with people, and he'd be on a Instagram live with someone that had like millions of followers. He's like, go make an audio for this guy. We're gonna play it for him. We're gonna get on a call with him here in a second. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we're getting a call? He's like, yeah, I've just been like kind of pinging him in the chat and saying we have a gift for him and we'll jump on a call. And so sure enough, like 5-10 minutes later, we're on a call with this person and we're like, hey, we made you something. You want to hear it? And like, we played it and they're like, what? Who the heck are you guys? And so like, it just kind of started expanding from there where we're like, okay, if there's a resonance there and people are like, wow, there's something here, like, let's lean in. And I just started I've always been such a voracious learner. I love learning.
Yeah.
And I just realized how quickly things can amplify in terms of my learning, in terms of my intentionality, in terms of my personal development with AI. So I was like, this thing is so powerful. And the people that can really see the power within AI, not as just like, oh, let me automate some emails or anything like that. It's like utilizing it to become the best, most powerful version of yourself. It's like, that's what I've been using it for. And I'm like, well, this tool, our Vision Espresso, is the precipice of the tool that helps you become a better version of yourself. When you listen to that on a daily basis and continue to tap into that frequency, like you listening to that every day, getting those emotions, feeling that every single day, that's helping you literally tap into your future self, to the highest version of yourself. And it's crazy too. The last thing I'll say, and then I'll pause, but I had this interesting feeling recently. I probably haven't even like really communicated this to besides like one person, but there's this interesting feeling lately. Like, I'm remembering my future self. It's I don't, like, that's the best way I can describe it, but it's like the person I'm stepping into, I'm remembering him more and more every day. It's like I already knew him.
Yeah.
And it's I think it has something to do with the hat, because we just got these hats recently too. But it's like, oh yeah, he's that guy that really like took a stand for humanity. He's the guy that put together the app and the community and really led a mission. And it's like all these things that I've been putting in my Vision Espresso for years. I mean, I've made 13 of them now, and that's a really powerful part of the process, is continuing to make them every single 90 days I've been doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, the more that stuff is solidified in me, got into my subconscious, I'm actually like remembering this future version of myself. It's quite a trip.
Yeah. Well, what I love about it, compared to other modalities, and like I told you before we got on the mic, I've had, uh, you know, therapists and coaches and counselors and mental health professionals on the show before, and we've talked about work that they've done with me as the use case for their practice as they're explaining things. And so much of it is alleviating or absolving yourself of the past. you know Recently, like in the last 2 years, I transmuted the story of getting kicked out of school from a place of shame to a place of power. And what I love about this experience, it's so future driven, and I the way I just what's coming to me right now is the way that I used to describe that the recovering credential chaser was. I spent the better part of 20 years trying to become so successful in my own mind that getting kicked out of the Air Force Academy became irrelevant, when in reality the truth is that was the inciting incident of my hero's journey. And none of this conversation doesn't happen if that doesn't happen.
Mm-mm.
Right. And what's showing up for me right here, right now, in the aftermath of my Vision Espresso is, it's not that it was irrelevant. It's that it's a part of the story. There is no charge. And everything that being introduced to my future self in this regard through this medium, to your point, like, I'm going to remember him. And when I meet him, I'm going to know it.
Mm.
And dude, that's fucking crazy.
Have you ever heard of that adage about when you get to the end of your life and you meet your highest self, the goal is to like be looking in the mirror? Like the biggest fear that people, like these people talk about, is like meeting your highest self at the end of your life and not recognizing him.
I've heard variations of that concept. Yeah.
It's basically exactly what you're describing is like, we're just in, and that was interesting too. Like I've had some conversations even lately, where when I started this, it was a lot more about like, oh, how do we craft our dream life and travel the world and buy
Right.
all the cars and houses.
Vision board stuff.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
really what it's continued to evolve into is just a tool to help you really be intentional about meeting that highest version of yourself and looking in the mirror rather than a distant relative. And that's what it's about. Like, because intentionality has been one of the best things that has like produced the most fruits in my life. And when I say fruits, just like becoming the best version of myself, building the best relationships, like the things that are like core to me and like in my heart, rather than like, oh, I made a bunch of money or travel, like all these things. It's like, it's just living intentionally. Because when you live intentionally, nothing is random. I heard that quote a while back and I was just like, that's it. Like
when you live intentionally, nothing is
random.
When you live intentionally, nothing is random.
And the interesting thing too, I've noticed lately, because it's like there's been some massive shifts in my life, especially over like since like February. I've just been like saying yes to things that scare me and like just really going in. And it's so interesting on like, I'm actually like truly stepping into this version of myself more than I ever have before. And the synchronicities that come in place because of that, it's crazy. Like all these people, like I got introduced to this person who knew this person, like we're all so connected, all these different opportunities. Like it's crazy. And it's like, just coming back to that quote is like, when you live intentionally, nothing is random. And so me living this life and meeting these people and going to these places and all these like synchronicities, it's not random. It's because I've clearly defined who I want to become. And now I'm stepping into it more than I ever have.
It's interesting when you come to that realization and you start living into it intentionally, not to overuse the word, but the things that would terrify you or the things that you would talk yourself out of become less scary. You know, even if it's, and the reason they're scary is because they're unfamiliar. You can't see the next step in the road. It's not clear. However, like the through line of this conversation is energy. When you're in that frequency of flow, you don't need to see it because you feel it, right? You're stepping into, you're letting your faith override your fear.
Yep.
Yeah. And the so between me and that future version of myself that we have now all been introduced to. So it's so
pretty
crazy.
Cool guy.
It's so crazy. You know, let's say the road gets windy. You know, there's a patch of fog, there's a valley and a mountain between, but I can see him all the way over there, right? And it's like navigating the forest. You know, as long as you're heading in that direction, you know, you may have to build a bridge or two. You may have to climb over some shit. You might have to go around a couple of things. But as long as you're heading in that direction, you're moving towards it, regardless of what's in between, you're okay. And I think that's the challenge of all of this. And, you know, I've had plant medicine experiences, and, you know, I would put this in a similar category of the awareness that comes as a result of it. I'm not gonna leave this conversation and all of a sudden the world is different. You know, like there's the being piece that is required to do all of that, to be introduced to that version of Michael, and then not shift in any kind of way. I'm doing that version of me a disservice, and I'm actually putting distance between us, not bringing us closer together. And that's that alignment piece that is driven by the way you perceive things, the decisions that you make, the things that you say yes to, the things that you turn down, right? All of that, those are the intangible components of the process that I feel like are so undervalued as we're moving through the journey of life. Because when you play it back in hindsight, how many of those opportunities show up where you're like, man, if I had said yes to that, life would have been totally different. If I had said no to that, I'd have been in a totally different place right now. And rather than living life through a peek at the rearview mirror, I'm looking at it through the fucking windshield now, brother.
So good. Because it's like, when you're clear about who you're becoming and where you're going, what you're stepping into, and the person that you are becoming, you now have a decision-making framework. Because how many people are so scattered these days, so distracted, like a leaf in the wind or a fart in the wind. Just being like ping pong all over the place. And how many distractions are out there today, and how many people are trying to pull your attention these days? It's brutal out there. If you're not clear, if you're not focused, if you're not grounded and rooted into your vision or your intentionality.
Right.
And so that's what I've noticed as I've gone through the process and actually creating it too, because I know, everyone heard the final product, but actually going through those questions and answering those questions and having it take you deeper and deeper, helping you understand yourselves and gain even more clarity through that process. And every subsequent time you go through it, now you know what you value, you know what's important to you. And so when someone says and gives you an invite to something that's sounds enticing, but it's not in line with your value, you're like, well, no, this isn't part of the vision. I'm going to pass.
Yeah.
And that's every time you're saying no to something that's not aligned, you're saying yes to that person that just spoke to you.
Yeah. I'm walking in that right now.
Yep.
And it's so validating. I did an 8-day experience last fall, like 12 hours a day, 8 days straight, just deep work, going all in on you, right?
Wow.
On yourself. And even through that, at the very end, we're making our declarations, our commitments, our agreements to how we're going to walk in the world after this experience. And in that moment, I relapsed. The first thing out of my conscious overrode my brain, my thinking self overrode my feeling self for a moment. And I'm so happy I was in a container that could help me see it and recognize it in that moment so I could shift gears. But I went right back to, the business is going to do this, metrics and KPIs and blah, 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 blah. That's not it. Try again. And what is astounding to me in the aftermath, what showed up in that experience was date nights and daddy days. Right. And then to see how congruent that is, because, I walked away from a huge opportunity that just wasn't for me. It was for somebody else, because it wasn't in alignment with the things that are actually important to Michael. Right. And to move through this experience and for those things to show up with even more reinforcement, right? To be so grounded and aligned for me that they showed up in the introduction to my future self. Holy shit, man. It's not even a question anymore. It has been rooted in me. I don't need to fact check it anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. What an incredible gift, dude. You're gonna change the world, dude. You already are.
Thank you, brother. And I received that. And it's also, it's not what I get to continue to remind myself is that I'm the steward of this. I'm not changing the world. What God bestowed upon me to help facilitate his mission is what's changing the world. It's just this modality. So I think that's been it's this whole thing, I'm sure you've experienced it just as much, if not more, but it's this road of entrepreneurship. It's such a spiritual game. There's so much.
Oh, dude, beautifully put, man. Yes.
Dude,
You want to find out who you are and what you're about? Cash in those chips and go all in on you, baby. Yeah.
Dude, you know what I also say? Dude, I love your laugh. So I'll tell you this. is I heard this recently, and I thought it was really powerful, and it just reminds me every time you really start chuckling over there. But they said that I'm just gonna turn on my lights. It's getting a little dark over here. A like well, what's the word? What is the word? The well enunciated, the like free laugh that you are expressing right now, and you're just letting it out. And they say that that's a sign and a mark of a healthy nervous system.
Okay.
So I had to acknowledge that real quick because you've just been laughing. It's like inspiring because I want to
Thank
continue
you.
to do that. And it's also, I think that brings us back to a really good point with the energetics is it's in why this is so powerful. There's affirmations and all that kind of stuff. But I was even I did a podcast a little while back with this guy that was deeply into energy, and I was sharing with him this stuff, and he's like, yeah, this is cool. And it's also really important to have your energy really grounded in this before you even listen to this, because I heard a long time ago from one of my mentors that said, if you're thinking about what you want and who you want to become, and you're not feeling good and grounded, you're actually detracting it, you're pushing it away. And so that's why we do the breath work. But then we put we do a much more extensive breath work that we put in people's apps too, which you'll have access to as well. But I think that's a really important thing to like get grounded. That's why meditation is really important, to be centered, to be present. Because if you don't have that and you start thinking about all these things, you're actually just like detracting them, and you're detracting that person away from you. But it just like, it reminds me every time you start laughing over there. It's so cool. And it makes so much sense when you're talking about this experience that you had when you just did all this deep work and you really rooted in who you are and who you want to continue to become, rather than like all the things. It's what's really important to you. Because how many people are operating these days about just like what they're supposed to be doing, but what other people tell them or society views valuable these days, as opposed to like what really matters to you, which I think at the end of the day, most of the time, people care about relationships. They care about the connection, even if they don't want to say it. Because I mean, the amount of times I've heard this from direct experiences of people talking about they met the most wealthy, successful person, and sometimes they're the most miserable person. Like by far, it's not even close. And they are like praying and wishing they had people's lives that are not nearly as wealthy as them, but have good relationships in their lives. And the relationships start with that initial relationship with you, with God, and be grounded in yourself. And that all comes back down to this energetic conversation that we're having.
Yeah, they say, I've been hearing it more and more and more. The most critical relationship you'll ever have is with the person you marry, and I'm going to make that the second most important relationship. Because who that person is a reflection of who this person is. Right. And so the most important relationship you'll ever have is with yourself, because you are with you 24/7. You ain't getting rid of you, And so, dude, I think that's a beautiful place to end it. Where can everyone find you, groove with you, get their Vision Espresso? Because I'm on Team Niko. I want everybody to get their shot of espresso with you, brother.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much, brother, for having me on. This has been an absolute pleasure. Looking forward to continue the conversation and the connection and speaking to your guys and having some more in-depth connections. But yeah, the best place you can go over to visionespresso.co. So it's like the coffee, no X. People like to throw X's in there, but it's just visionespresso.co. That's where you can go and get your sample. So you won't go through the full process, but you can go get a little taster. And it takes you about like 8 minutes to get through, and then you'll get your 1 minute audio back. And then if you complete it in 24 hours, we like to incentivize action taken. You'll actually get a breathwork audio in your app as well. So you can go get that. My Instagram is NikoArapkiles. We also have a school community. It's called Vision Espresso Launchpad. So it's kind of like the starting point. It's a free community. Come hang out, see all the testimonials, see all people like going through the process. It's pretty cool. And then we do live events as well. And we got another one coming up on August 8th here in Old Town Scottsdale. It's at an AI Learning Center, AI Surfer Learning Center. I'm on the board of their company. So we throw events there. This is going to be our first one. We're going to have vibroacoustic beds. We're going to do a panel podcast with some of the smartest people in AI. You can go to visionespresso.co/live if you want to come hang out with us. We have I think it's 90 tickets. I don't know where we're at right now, but that's kind of the cap. It's a free event. And then we'll have our community. We do pop-up VIP dinners and all sorts of different things. And then YouTube and all the other platforms. So
Love it, man.
But yeah, that's what I got.
Cool, man. Get your shot of Vision Espresso with Niko. Go check it out. You won't regret it. You'll be better for it. And there is nothing, and I'm telling you in the immediate aftermath of this experience, there's nothing that compares to being introduced to the future highest and best version of yourself. What a gift, man. Thank you so much. And for you, remember, guys, it all comes down to integrity, courage, and ownership. And if you want to become the fittest leader possible in alignment with that Vision Espresso, go check out CoachDurs.com. We'll see you next time on Progress Always.